Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, a service of the Black Science Fiction Society.com website. My name is William Hayashi. I'll be your host for tonight. Tonight we've got a gang. We have a gaggle. We have a whole lot of people in tonight, and these are the people behind the Body Jumpers science fiction series, which is available online to check out. For those of you who may want to take a look, they've got their own YouTube channel, and it's YouTube, www.youtube.com, and then just one word, The Body Jumpers, and you can check out some things there. We have three people so far. We have Alexander Fernandez, we have Harold Gibson, and we have Anna Marie Water. And
no.
Is that right?
A. Marie Walter.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I am looking at how Jarvis spelled this. Look at that.
Gotta put Jarvis back on the line.
All right. So anyway, welcome to the show. And like all of you guys are in New York right now, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I'm calling from Jersey myself, Newark, New Jersey.
So Newark's not bad. I mean, you know, everything that I've seen about New Jersey was pretty much in The Sopranos. And, you know, I saw that the garbage got picked up regularly. I saw that, you know, they knew how to do restaurants real good. But anyway, welcome to the show. And this is let everybody know, this is the December 27th, 2013 edition, the last show of 2013. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm ready for this year to be done. I think 2014 is going to be a much better year. Yeah. And why don't we start out with Alex, are you the series creator?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, why don't you start out and tell everybody a little bit about the series, and then we'll get some background on all of you as we go along.
Well, the series is a sci-fi series. It's part urban, part sci-fi. And it's about a female agent who is sent to Earth to basically protect humans from other aliens who have powers, who are led by Primus, who in the show is played by Bowlegged Lou of Full Force in the House Party films. And it's a black female hero who lives in the hood, and she basically spends her days saving people. That's basically the premise of the show.
It doesn't have to be any more complex than that. I mean, the execution is where all of the cool stuff happens. Let me ask you this: where did you come up with the idea originally, and what was the impetus to push it out as a video series? Was that how you envisioned it first, or did it come from maybe comic roots or something like that?
It's a little bit of it was like a mixture. Because I grew up reading comic books, I grew up with science fiction, and I grew up, with films. And one day I was sitting in a room, and I said, we should do a web series. I was telling my friends, we should do a web series. And it was funny because when I first came up with the idea, I said, she should be a black female who lives in the hood, and she saves people. And all my friends, they looked at me and said, what? No way, man. She's got to be white, dude. I said, what? I said, no, she has to be white because it's not gonna make it anywhere. And I'm like, but that's so typical. I said, no, it's very important. I was adamant about it. I said, no, she has to be African American. She has to live in the hood, and that's what's that's what's different. So that's what really pushed me to say, you know what, let me do it, and then we'll see if it works. And thank God it did.
Yeah. Now these are your black friends who said she had to be white.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta upgrade your friends.
I live in the project, so the majority of people here are black or Latino. So
and they wanted another white superhero. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I guess it's just the mentality of it, just like. I guess you're scared to step out the box. Like, no, that's what's always done. That's what works. And it's like, but if you don't try something else, you'll never know.
Yeah, that's true. And then a lot of people are. I mean, look at Hollywood. They're so risk averse. They won't take a chance on anything different whatsoever.
No way.
And so you guys decided to put this together. Had you had experience in doing video production before, or was there a learning curve?
Oh, it's always a learning curve. I think even if I was making film for 50 years, I'll still be learning. But I'm a film school graduate, so I already had the tools and everything I really needed to put it together. A lot of people around me kept saying, "Well, Alex, you know how to do, you know how to do effects, you know how to do all this stuff. You should put something together." Because on the show, I don't have a crew. I only have actors. I do everything myself. I shoot it, I write it, I do all the effects. So it's just me. So sometimes it takes me a little long between episodes, but we get it done.
Yeah,
He's a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah, but I mean the cool thing about that is, first of all, you have total control, which is a big deal, and second of all, that total control translates into maybe even a purer vision of what you're doing because it doesn't have to go through translation. You don't have to have somebody else do it for you. And I would imagine that doing it yourself, learning the effects, learning how to, do, different kinds of blocking, things like that.
Right.
It's still giving you a lot of experience that's probably going to serve you very well.
Yes, I definitely agree. It's definitely a learning process. Every episode I definitely learn something new. I definitely, so in that aspect, yes, it's fantastic because I do learn. And it's great, that I have total control because, like, sometimes I write a script and then the actors come, and they have a different idea of it. And they show me, and it's a better idea than what I had or what I thought of, and they can go ahead and do that. Where in the studio you have to go through certain hoops before, you know what I mean? It's just stand on this spot, okay, move here, look this way, jump here. And I'll say it's more creative. The actors are able to bring whatever they want to it and, give it their flavor.
Well, yeah, ultimately, whoever has the money is the person who calls the shots.
Right.
In the studio system.
Right.
And which begs the question, how are you funding this whole series?
Well, basically, you can say I've done about 9 episodes and I spent about $250 roughly.
That's not bad.
And that's mostly on just the costumes, accessories, and stuff like that. My wife helps me. She's like, she sponsors me basically whenever I need a suit. So then she'll say okay, and then she'll give me the money and I'll go get it. So right now it's all in-house.
I love that. I love that about their relationship. That is so cool. Behind every great man is a great woman. Shout out Gazelle.
What?
And so I understand that she's like an executive producer. Does she also give you some creative input as well?
Yeah, definitely. When we're working on stories and stuff, she'll come up with certain ideas, and sometimes sometimes like everybody in the show always has an idea for an episode. Like, oh, maybe we should do this, and some of them are good. I just keep them in the back of my mind, and then later I utilize them. Mm-hmm. So everybody really has an input. I would say definitely the show is a little bit of all of us. It's definitely not me. Me is in the aspect of, doing the effects and stuff like that, but they're the ones that really bring it to life and, make it work.
Mm-hmm. You do it too, Alex.
I'm only saying that because you guys are on the phone. No,
He's a great person to work with, man. He's just very, very open. I love the fact that he's an independent filmmaker, no middleman, and in comparison to a lot of independent stuff, to the stuff that's already out there. I'm not saying that all the stuff that's out there are bad, like the blockbuster stuff that's in the movies, that's on television. But when you look at a lot of the independent films that are out right now, a lot of them have so much depth and so much emotion, and there's just something about it that's, dare I say it, better than the stuff that's out there.
Yeah. Well, and for those people who don't know, that's this is Harold Gibson. And Harold, what's your role predominantly on the show?
My role is Agent Darius. He is
Agent Darius.
Agent Darius. He is you put agent sent by IDA, the Interplanetary Division of Agents, to help Shia'ra, who is basically a loner. She wants to do it all by herself.
Hey.
She wants to be the one-man wrecking crew, but I have to remind her that listen, no man is an island, no woman is an island, and you can't always go at things by yourself. You're always going to need help sometime. So hopefully she won't learn the hard way. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, and so Amory, how did you find the show? I mean, were you friends, or did you have a business kind of a performing relationship with Alex, or how did all of that start up?
Well, my name is Amory Walter, and I play Agent Nexus. I came across the show through a mutual friend, which is also my cousin. They had Alex Fernandez on the show talking about body jumpers. My cousin sent me a private message basically asking if I could do some graphics and drawings for the show because I'm an artist. I have my own company. I'm the owner of Estetica Exposure. And so we linked up from there. And I'm not really sure how it happened. I think I was going to visit some family in Brooklyn because I'm in upstate New York, about 3 hours away. And I don't know how it happened. I went to take some photos for promotion posters, and then he was like, "Well, do you want to do a part?" I'm like, me? I'm not an actor, but it just all fell in place, and I had a really good time. And I really admire you, Alex, for what you do and the work that you put in and the support that you have.
Was this your first acting experience?
Yes, it was. My mother always told me growing up I should do drama, something, blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't really my thing. But I enjoy helping out, and it's fun.
Well, Amory had put her whole costume together and everything. She had the whole suit and the blue hair, the wig, and everything. And I was like, come on, you went through all that work to put that costume together. You got to be in the episode.
Right. It looks like Gretchen. Is that you? Did you manage to get in?
Hello?
Gretchen?
No, but I'm calling about Gretchen.
Okay.
May I speak?
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Well, I would like to know why that girl Gretchen hasn't really made it yet. I mean, she's the only reason why I watch it. Someone turned me on to it. I said, "Who is that hot girl in the red? She is hot." I mean, I'm not funny or anything. I'm not lesbian, but the girl is hot, and I loved it when she pressed her finger on that guy's forehead and blew him away. I mean, that was the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
That was truly the beginning of it, and I just think you got somebody hot on your hands.
Yeah.
And she's a hot tamale.
Yes, she is.
Yes,
she is. She's
burning. I wouldn't even be on the show, honestly, because Gretchen and I, this is Harold Gibson. Gretchen and I were in the same play together. And really, if it wasn't for Gretchen really being like in the show, and me seeing her in the show and everything, and like asking, I was kind of shy about it at first. I was like, I don't know, because some filmmakers are kind of funny about you just asking to be in their show. But Alex turned out to be such an individual. And then when I saw the episode of Gretchen in it, I was like, wow, I really want to be a part of this. So, me, Gretchen, and Joanna, who plays Shia'ra, were all in the same place together. And that's how we all wound up being in the show. Just like 6 degrees of separation. It was wonderful.
So you guys basically started out as stage performers. And now you guys are basically doing what would essentially be television, except for the fact that it's on YouTube. But how? I mean, was it any great problem to make the transition? I would guess not. But I mean,
no way.
How are you looking at doing kind of like this video production rather than doing live stage?
Live stage in comparison to television. Well, from what I've learned, stage is really all about your body in your movements because you're on a
Yes.
stage. You're in front of an audience. When you're in front of the camera, it's really your eyes and your emotions. Can you tell a story with your face along with saying the dialogue? Or can you tell the story without saying a word at all in that frame?
Mm-hmm.
So that's acting. That's your transition of acting in comparison to stage and TV.
And so, you know, for you, A-Marie, you started out, is this your first, you know, kind of experience acting?
It is.
And
it's my very first.
And how was it getting into it? I mean, was it easy? I mean, it sounds like you have great people around you who are very supportive, but you still have to perform. I mean, how did all that work out for you?
I don't know, Alex. How did it work out for me?
No, I'm not asking Alex. I'm asking how you think about it, because you know, you're the one who has to. I mean, think about that. Just like think of what you know, what Harold said about conveying the emotion, being able to sell the dialogue and sell the character. You know, these are not inconsiderable skills that you have to pick up. And then for you to just jump in, kind of like with both feet, you know, let me just take some pictures, and oh, by the way, let me jump in and be in this show. I mean,
whatever. Yeah, it basically happened like that. I mean, I guess I put into practice what I've seen on TV in the movies. Alex asked me when I did the first go, have I ever acted before? Because I guess I did okay. I was just being me, no.
And so you're essentially, basically, you're just a natural. I mean, have you taken any classes? Have you had any training subsequent to starting the show? Nothing. You just jumped right in and you were fine, huh?
Yeah. Yes. I can be a character sometimes all by myself without the cameras. So I mean, I had fun.
All right.
I did it for Alex.
Yeah. So Alex, you've got the show. You've got. I noticed that there was a word that you have your first season DVD coming up or coming out soon.
Yeah.
About how long before we see that out on the street?
I would say probably another 3 months maybe, because we still have to add like another 2 more episodes to that, and then it'll be the end of season 1, and then we'll be moving on to season 2.
Okay, and how many episodes have you done so far?
I've done 9. The last one we did was last week was the Christmas story.
Yeah.
Where our main villain was the Scrooge type character, and he was visited by 3 ghosts.
I love that episode.
You know what? I'm going to have to talk to you after the show, because I've done a script that I want to shoot here in Chicago for a feature, and it's basically an urban adaptation of A Christmas Carol. And
really?
Yeah, I've got a really, really mean Indian guy who runs an outdoor car wash in the middle of the winter, because I couldn't think of anything more miserable to have as a job than to be washing and drying cars when, you know, it's 10 degrees out in Chicago.
Oh,
right.
I could agree. Okay, so you actually have now. What about your storylines? Do you pick up on, you know, some current events or things that are familiar to people, either in the news or even culturally, in the shows that you produce, in your writing?
Not really. Like, I'm not doing like Planet of the Apes, you know, where it's this big message, you know, this whole political message, undertones under it. I don't think our show has any of that, any of those political and like current events. Or it may have some. I mean, we do have like, you know, the occasional grocery store robbery and stuff like that. That's like the part urban, you know. But really, I try to just create just like this fantasy world, and you know, and just keep it magical for like 10 minutes. Because I figure people get tired of seeing reality, the same. You know, you turn on the news and somebody got shot, 10 people got killed, another one got raped. So,
yeah. obviously you want to keep it fresh too.
Right.
We go to the movies to escape, man. We get entertained to escape the everyday. That's what science fiction is about.
But I agree. Although you have so many people whining when things don't turn out the way they do. You know, you take these comic book fans, and you know, heaven forbid somebody have the wrong color boots on or something. It's like you committed, you know, the sin of the apocalypse.
Right.
But I mean, it's
why?
But it's cool that you got
that Wonder Woman costume. They need to redo the Wonder Woman costume, or I'm gonna kill somebody.
Girl, why are you talking about me? Why did you tell him I said that now?
Why is her hair like that? You know,
Have so many expectations.
But everything that you have done, I mean, this whole series is completely original. It's not derivative of anything else, is it?
Mm-hmm.
No, pretty much. It's. I would say it's it's just a mixture of everything. I could look at it and see certain things like, you know, maybe something from the 1950s sci-fi and stuff like that, or, you know, I don't know. It's just really a mixture of everything.
Yeah, but it's not like you're copying it. If anything, it would be more
like
an homage.
I try
it would
not
be like
to
an
copy.
homage, yeah.
Yeah, I try. Sometimes my friends will come over and I did, like, they'll see a movie and they'll say, put this on, and say, you got to do this, and I say, I don't want to do that. They just did that, you know. So it's like, for example, in episode 8, when Shia'ra, the villain, was returning, I mentioned to my friends, I say, you know what, I'm gonna have the villain suit up, and they all say, what? No way, man. The villains don't suit up. Only heroes do. When the hell did you ever see a villain suit up? And I said, well, that's why we should do it. Because they've never done it before. I'm like, villains don't wake up dressed up already. They got to get dressed too. And so I did it. I shot her, I shot the villain suited up, and it came out fine to me.
Yeah, I like that.
Well,
how you
I mean,
did that.
Wonderful.
People do have science fiction, fantasy, horror memes, you know, that they cling to, and you know, there's a certain amount of satisfaction, a certain amount of comfort, you know, when they see the familiar, and I think that's why they lose their minds when something is not exactly to their. Well, I'm just being honest. You know, when something's not exactly to their liking, all of a sudden, you know, they flame out on it and lose their minds. And I believe, you know, from a psychologist's point of view, that it's because they invest themselves in the characters in you know, in a very proprietary way. So let's talk about some of the feedback you're getting for the show. I mean, what kind of feedback are you getting from, like, fans or I mean, have you been reviewed well?
Yeah, I have. I've gotten only good feedback from people. It's funny, once in a while I get those messages who say, you know, hey, your show is pretty cool, you inspire me to do, you know, what I'm doing. And when I get those messages, it just inspires me to just go do more. Because it's amazing how many people you can reach. Like, I look at my demographics on the show, and we have people like in Indonesia and Tunisia and Switzerland and all these other places watching the show. So it's kind of funny to me because I'm all the way in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy, and somebody in Indonesia is like, oh, I like your show, you know, let me buy a T-shirt. And so it's crazy.
I mean, eat your food.
Yeah, and so where do you, well, you film mostly in New York, or do you film in New Jersey? Where do you mostly shoot all of this? Mostly in Brooklyn, or in my living room.
Like the Christmas episode, we shot the whole Christmas episode in my living room.
Yeah. Yeah. Hang on a second. You're listening to the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, a service of the Black Science Fiction Society.com website. This is the December 27th, 2013, the last edition for the year, and we're talking to some of the players in the Body Jumper Science Fiction series cast and the executive producer, the cameraman, the sound guy, the special effects department. And you know what? I took a look at a couple of the shows earlier today when I found out you were going to be on, And you know, I like the production values. You know, it's fun. It's not yeah, it's just fun. You know, people obviously people are going to take things apart if they don't like it. But the other thing that I like is that you have good storylines to sustain, you know, the show.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit about the writing. Where do the ideas and the plot lines flow from?
Well, at first it was a little hard for me to come up with the story, like where it's headed. But now what I usually do is I usually just pick up the episode right where I left off, the last one. So it's that way, and that way it's a continuing story. And the more I get to know my actors and the way they portray their characters, it's a lot easier for me to write for them because I know, okay, this is where they're coming from with that character, so I can write it in this way. When I first got to know them, I didn't know how they were going to bring that character to life or what they're going to do with it, so I'm just writing words. But once they bring it to life, then I'm like, oh, okay, this character, you know, is funny or aggressive or whatever, and then I will write in that way, give them certain words. Some people complain I give them too many scientific words, but so I try to even it out for everybody.
I'm glad you said even it out instead of dumb it down. I mean that was very politically correct. Amory, when you, like, you know, let's say you're getting ready to do an episode and you get the script for the first time, what's the process? I mean, obviously it's easier now because there's continuity from the previous episode, but I mean, tell us a little bit about the process you go through to kind of get yourself up and get ready for, putting what you have to put in from yourself to do the episode.
Well, with the Christmas edition that we just recorded, I basically reviewed my lines. I didn't have too many, so it wasn't too hard. And I just absorbed the environment of everyone preparing and recording. And it was pretty easy. I had a really great time with everyone. That was my first time. I think that was our first time all being in one room at the same time. So.
Yeah, that was the first time the whole cast met each other.
Yeah.
And is it? I mean, same thing for you, Harold. I mean, now that you guys are invested in the characters and you know them well, is it pretty easy to go from episode to episode to episode?
Well, now you never know what's going to happen in the next episode.
Right.
All I know is to just stay focused, stay in character. The character, when he gave me when he told me to take a picture of myself, dress up SCIFI. I had a leather trench coat and all this black. I had a pair of dark red Doc Martin boots, these red shades, this old laser tag gauntlet gun, and this huge digital watch. I didn't know what was going to become of the digital watch. Maybe it was a communication device. Maybe it opens up portals. I don't know. But he asked me to dress up science fiction. And I took an old padded jacket and just ripped the sleeves off and made it like a vest to try to do something sci-fi-ish. The character Darius, he did not give me any kind of a background character of what this type of person was. So when I put the costume on, I felt this really strict, rigid soldier type of guy, with the relentlessness of Agent Smith, but the animalistic sense of Riddick. So I meshed those two together, and that's Agent Darius. So however the story goes, I read the script, I see what's going on, and I go, okay, how does Darius act in this?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that hard. It's not that hard to go. It's not that hard to go from episode to episode because I love the show. I wake up in the morning and I go, hey, I'm a sci-fi character now. So I look forward to the next episode. So it's easy for me to transition from one episode to another.
And Alec, when you started out, did you start out with the intention of making this an internet-based distributed show, or is this a stepping stone to something bigger? how are you looking at, the future production of body jumpers?
Well, when I first started, it was just an idea, just testing the waters. Let me just put it out there and see how people react, get feedback, how to make it better and stuff like that, because I always like feedback. I don't care if you hate it, but tell me why you hate it so that I can make it better. So maybe next time you won't hate it. Maybe you like it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Because if I don't know, I can never make it better. So that's why I don't mind feedback. I don't mind if you say, hey, this looks funny. Sometimes I put stuff up and my friends look at it and they laugh. I'm like, oh, God. But then I make it better. So it was just an idea. But then once it started catching on, and then we started going on radio shows, and then we appeared in the magazine. And so I was like, oh, now it's really becoming something serious. So then, of course, I was like, okay, so now we just need to focus more on the stories, make the stories better and stuff like that. And then now we're having a comic book based on the show that's coming out. So we're going to have a comic book on the show. And then I started to go, okay, so now we're going somewhere. But I wouldn't say it's a stepping stone. I want the show to grow, for everybody to see it, to be something big. But I'm also afraid of that, of that day if it comes where Hollywood steps in and they say, oh, you got a great idea, kid, but we're going to replace Trish with Halle Berry, and stuff like that, because that's something that I don't want.
You're not. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's a possibility that it might not happen like that, because I'm starting to see a wave of independent films, a wave of TV shows, a wave of entertainment that's going to go probably to Amazon, to Netflix, to the internet, where people are going to really invest in it. And you don't have to be a big star. There's a lot of great independent films out there that you don't need to have a big star in it to be good. Star Wars did not have big stars.
Right.
You know what I mean? I believe I believe in body jumpers.
Yeah, but the other part about this, the other part about doing this production is that the barriers to getting it produced and getting the public to see it are much, much lower. You can post. You have your own channel on YouTube. Right. People can check out your content there, and the fact of the matter is, no matter how long you do it, unless of course somebody wants to drop $50 million in your lap to take your idea away from you. And let's be honest, there is nothing wrong with doing that. A lot of people have done that and then gone on to do something different.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, you get a certain amount of control that was unprecedented just a little while ago. And not only do you have control, but the barriers to distribution have gotten so much lower.
Right.
So,
but the thing with, but little by little it starts to grow. Like I always remember when I first started, I had like 10 people watching me and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it just starts to grow. We're on YouTube, but we're also on web series channel. We're also on SciFinal.com. We're also on BBC TV, where they play us every Thursday, 8 o'clock. So it starts to grow. It just becomes like a virus. The more people know, they check it out and say, oh, this is pretty cool. You know what? It's different. I can't tell you how many people. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but there's more to it than that. See, the thing is there's a whole lot of people that have a whole lot of crap on my internet. Okay? They have a whole lot of crap on my internet. All right, and I go to YouTube and I go, why were they thinking that was going to be good? And the fact of the matter is, you've already gotten to the point where your creativity is something that other people are acknowledging. I mean, the fact that you're in multiple channels, you have multiple channels of distribution and multiple places where people can find you is a testament to the popularity and the fact that at least for now it's enduring, it's interesting. Yes. And the thing that people don't realize in online entertainment, in any entertainment, is content is king. If you aren't producing good content, you're not going to go anywhere. And you look at Hollywood. Hollywood has now reduced itself, as you said. They don't have very many independent productions. But essentially what Hollywood has become is destruction porn. Okay, every single blockbuster movie is nothing but tearing, destroying things. Excuse me. Destroying whole cities. You look at Man of Steel. How many people really would have died in a city the size of Metropolis had all of that happened? Same thing with the Avengers. Knocking all those buildings down. I mean, that's the extent of the creativity that we're seeing, and they're using old comic book memes to appeal to people who have money in their pocket.
Wow.
So here you come along with something brand new. You get the kind of reviews you're getting. You get the kind of interest that you've garnered, and all of that is adding up. I mean, so when you say, we're branching out, more and more people are seeing us, there's a backstory to that speaks for the creativity that is sustaining not only the show, but obviously the ideas are fresh enough that people are tuning in to see what happens next. I also think it was probably a good idea for you to serialize the storylines, because then again, people are going to be anxious to see, well, what happens next.
Right.
Now, do you do? You want to see what your next script is like, right?
Right.
Well, because I was inspired. When I grew up watching a lot of serials, a lot of Lone Rangers, Tarzan serials. What will happen next? Is Robin gonna die? Tune in tomorrow. So I always try to end every episode at least in a cliffhanger type fashion, where you'd be like, okay, I got to see what happens next.
You do wanting more.
It's not a bad process. I mean, I cheat like that too with my novels. At the end of one novel, I put the first chapter of the next novel at the end of the previous one, and so they get a sneak. Well, I'm just telling you, it is bait, and I don't mean that in the strictly bad sense, but people always want to know, they like to be in on it. You know what I mean? That in on it thing. So, and that's another thing that drives popularity of science fiction shows. When people look at the plot lines, they look at the storylines, and then they get invested because they go, well, Firefly got canceled, but we made so much noise, they're going to make a movie. So there's that whole that whole contingent who were anxious to see that movie. And you're getting to the point now where it sounds like people are appreciating not only what you're producing, but they're looking forward to what's coming next.
Right. Thank
how
God,
far ahead? How far ahead do you think of your storylines? I mean, do you sit down and go, well, I guess I might as well do that episode, and then you think about what happened last time, or do you have traditional story arcs that you follow?
Well, I usually know already, like episode 10, the next episode we're doing, I already know everything that's going to happen in the episode, even though I haven't written it down on paper. But I already know the certain scenarios. So usually for every episode, I think of certain scenarios that I want to see, and then I build my story around that.
Yeah.
So for the second episode, I had this vision. I went to sleep. I woke up the next day, and I had seen one of my characters perched on the Statue of Liberty torch. So I said, I got to put that in my episode. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want that in my episode. And so I built my whole scene around her being on the torch, Statue of Liberty torch.
Yeah, but what that is that's integrating great visuals into the story to make it compelling storytelling.
Yeah, it sure is.
I mean, when you think about it, I mean, the fact that subliminally and psychologically, you're so invested in the story that obviously it's always being written in the back of your mind, even when you're not consciously thinking about it.
Yes, definitely. It's definitely in my mind 24/7. I'm constantly always thinking of something, because I want to make it better, and I want to make it exciting, and I want the actors to be excited about their characters and what they're going through or what they can do and stuff like that. I want it to be exciting for everybody.
It is. It's very exciting. It's like I can't wait to see what happens next. I mean, growing up watching sci-fi, growing up watching, the superhero shows and the superhero films, so it's like you wonder, what is it like to actually play a character that's in a good show, and you really want to know what's going to happen next. And and you're excited because you're a part of it. It's like you're no longer watching it, you're in it. And I'm like, yeah, what's going to happen with Shia'ra? I mean, you know, is Shia'ra gonna really go one-on-one with Primus this time? And is the connection going to come down from Euclidia and from Euclid 6 and join the fray? What's happening? You know, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Gretchen.
Hi.
Hey.
Is that Gretchen?
Yes.
Yeah. For everybody listening, Gretchen was. We're gonna tell all your business. She was at work, and now she's out on the sidewalk in front, hiding out from management.
You are
So she
so
could be-
funny. That's what I'm doing.
and I can see that from Chicago. So, but thank you for joining us. Yeah, while we've got you, why don't you take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about who you are and where you fit in the production.
Okay, well, I'm Gretchin Noel, and I play Seraphim, and I'm just a bad girl. I was created by my powers to be. You'll see that on Origins, how I was created. So I'm not like normal. I'm not like birthed or anything. I was created to be as bad as I am. And, I'm trying to stop Shia'ra. She's trying to, like, help all these people that, are getting jumped by us. We try to make these people do bad things. We are almost like those evil spirits that make people do wrong. And she's just that person that's in my way.
Yeah.
I like these things. I like people to confront me, and I'll let them know who I am and where they can go, and you're not going to touch me, and I don't care if you're here or there, if you live tomorrow. I don't care if you're not serving me. I don't want you in my way.
And how do you like playing a villain?
I think I'm a rather good girl. I think my husband would say I'm a good girl.
I object.
Alex, I know you're not talking nothing, but I think I'm a good girl. If I'm naughty at all, I learned it from my husband, and then I just put it forth in the show. No, I absolutely love it because it makes me feel so creative because normal people with a conscience aren't normally bad. So I don't walk around feeling like a bad girl, but it makes me feel like this, like I have this inner power. I could kind of create and destroy, and almost like that little devil on your shoulder where you feel like when you're standing on line and people cut in front of you and you just want to zap them out the way, that's me. And I'm like, all the things you really wish you could do, I'm doing them.
So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that you're able to be able to pull that out and actually use that, because everybody's got those tendencies. I mean, I'm normally, I'm not the little voice on the shoulder that says go ahead and do bad. I just go ahead and do bad.
Little voice. He's the little voice on my shoulder. That's you.
Yeah, it is me, and which explains why I got to wear this ankle bracelet. But anyway, when you got, tell us how you got approached to take this role. Did you know the people involved? Did you know Alex before, or how did you get on the show?
Well, I'm very close friends with Bowlegged Lou of Full Force. He plays Primus. And he called me up and he was telling me, this is one of my favorite guys. He's like, good people. He's filmed for me. He's a really good person. He has this sci-fi venture he's doing, and I want you to be part of it. And I think you would be really great, and your personality was shining. And I'm like, I'm down. I never did sci-fi, and I can't even lie. I haven't watched many sci-fi movies except Matrix. And it's really new to me because, Alex is
literally teaching me things. Like, when I'm at his house, he's showing me some clips from movies, and, you know, I mean, I can't lie. I might be kind of like a girly girl, and, like, I like Rocky movies and stuff like that. So, like, the sci-fi venture is, like, really new. So, you know, I jumped on board, and, you know, Lou was telling me, you know, just be, you know, bring out your personality and see where he goes with it. And, you know, he's got a really creative story. And you got to see, like, I watched it the first time I watched a clip with Lou in it, and I was just like, damn, where did he do all this at? You know, he's amazing. He's amazing. The work that he puts into it, it's amazing. I don't even have that patience, and I'm like filming YouTube videos at home, and I'm like, this god darn computer. So it's like he's really creative. He's so committed. That's how you know he's gonna go far. I mean, the show is incredible. So and exciting. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen next. You know, I'm always in Alex's ear. Like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. You know, you should have me do this. Oh, shout out to his wife again. I'm trying to get her down with me. I keep saying that everywhere I go. I want to be like my little side partner, you know. So we'll see how that goes. I keep saying it. He's going to have to work it in there. But I'm, like, really excited. It's so good. It's, like, really, it's something great to put on my resume, too. Cause, like, you know,
so you're just getting ready to climb over. Okay, all right, I understand now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm doing my bad girl thing, put it on my resume. Yeah, this is a step on my resume. No, but it is. I mean, there's not many women that are in sci-fi, so I think it's like, it's a bonus. It's a black, I mean, to me, it's like a black hero sci-fi show. You know, and it's in the hood, you know what I mean? Like, it's all the things that you don't normally see. So when someone does click on and see what I'm doing, they're like, this is different. You know, like, okay, it's not like Superman or anything. It's really, it's relatable too. You know, it's relatable, and it's like, you know, I'm a regular person. You think I'm a regular person walking around in this shiny red outfit, and, you know, I'm doing some amazing things, you know. Okay, wait till I pull out my sword.
And the other thing is, you know, up until just a few short years ago, and we're not talking that many years, you know, barely even a generation ago, in terms of science fiction in America, they didn't expect us to be around in the future.
Yep, that's pretty much right. Yeah.
You know, or we were wearing red shirts and we lasted till the first commercial. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is something. It is something different. And the other cool part about it is, and I'm going to ask you about this, but I mean, when kids see it, they actually, you know, black kids actually get to see actors. They get to see characters. They get to see a show and a plot about their sociology, about their neighborhood, almost, like, you know. And so what kind of, Alex, what kind of response do you get from kids or their parents?
Well, from kids, I've gotten good response. First of all, I'm a parent myself, so my kids always get to check it out, and my son loves it. My son just goes, "Wow," you know, because he's all into that comic book stuff. If it's not a comic book or somebody flying, he don't really want to see it. He get bored. But he check out the show, and he's like, "This is really good, Dad." And like the actress, the Trish, her niece, she's a big fan of the show, and I believe she's like 10 years old. And she says that her niece just loves the show, just enjoys watching it. And actually today, one of my friends told me that his daughter watched the show and that she loves it. So, you know, kids respond to it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so people know, obviously, you know, this is a family-friendly show. Although I did see some cleavage in that.
That's totally family. There's cursing in it and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, and you know, there's nothing wrong with appreciating fine female form.
Right.
We're trying to keep the connection to reality and sci-fi.
You can never escape sex selling. You cannot escape the fact that sex sells.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I was going to ask, you have to, I mean, obviously there are certain memes that you have to incorporate in order to make it interesting. And, the episodes I looked at were both suitable in terms of content for children and adults. I mean, they could be appreciated on both levels. There's not a lot of material out there that's like that. It's like an easy one was Rocky and Bullwinkle. Obviously you had the cartoon, you had the going on, but then the politics behind it was just great for adults.
Right.
When you go and you write your episodes, what considerations do you have floating around in the back of your mind as you're putting the episode together? I mean, are you, I would imagine you're cognizant of the fact that you've got, the younger viewers and you want to be able to produce something for them. But, I mean, if you could just take a couple minutes to tell us, how you formulate the scenes and the behavior of the characters, and what some of your concerns are when you're in the process of creating.
Well, I have like certain guidelines. Like I don't want to do anything that will come across like trashy or cheap, or just do it just to get some views.
Okay.
Like I would do something. It was like when I showed the girl suit up, I showed it because it's time for her to suit up, and like Batman puts on his suit. So Batman doesn't have boobs, so you don't get the same kind of view. But he suits up, so she suits up. There's a reason why she's doing it. She's not just doing it to be gratuitous or just to be like, oh, look at my boobs. So that's really, and I just try to just keep it. I try not. That's my main thing. I don't want to do anything really that makes the shows seem trashy or like I'm trying to exploit the girls. All the girls on the show, they're all strong characters. So that's really my main thing. As long as the women come across strong, because it really is a chick show when you really look at it. The women are the dominant ones in the show, and Harold protests that, right, Harold?
Yeah. Is Harold there? Hi, Harold.
Hey, how you doing?
So really, that's my main thing. I just want to make sure that you see strong African American women, and they're positive. It's like another radio host said, the show's refreshing because you have an African American heroine, but she's not on heroin. So that's great.
Well, no, I mean that's a legitimate thing to bring up because remember, you look at how poorly we've been treated in movies and in television. You got hookers, you got addicts, you got abusive mothers, you got women who run down their men, and can't say anything. I mean, and all of those Hollywood memes are destructive. I mean, we know this. We know how destructive they are because people tend to believe what they see. I mean, look how stupid some people are because they believe everything they see on the internet about the president being a Muslim socialist from Cuba. So and you one of the things that I like is you don't buy into the ubiquity of the dumbing down of America in what you've written and the shows that you've produced. And the other thing is you don't have those stereotypical memes. And that's huge. And a lot of people would do that. I don't want to bring up anybody's name because this is eventually going to come back to haunt me. But you have a lot of people out there, including black folks, who buy into what they think they can get made or what they think they could get funded. And you end up with something where you watch it and you go, okay, I'm glad he got paid, but you're shaking your head at how they had to prostitute themselves to get it done.
Right.
And that's
selling out.
Yeah, well,
that's really selling out.
It is. But then can we really judge somebody who has to eat? So I mean, I don't want to be too harsh, and that's why I don't name names. But I mean, there are people out there who are obviously going after low-hanging fruit. Like Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is not creating the great American movie, okay?
Right.
And he's got a built-in audience. He knows when he produces a movie exactly how many people are going to go see it, exactly how much each one of those films are going to make, and that's his niche. And there's nothing wrong with him filling his niche. It's just that it's a shame that that's the extent of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know what? You got to look at too. Now we're going to go on the other side. Then you have Saturday Night Live that's been out forever. And they can basically do Tyler Perry type mode, do Sears, do news, do so many other characters that feel like degrading. Sometimes they even make you feel degraded when you watch it. But they lighten the mood at the same time. But it almost feels weird because when we do it, we get ridiculed. You know what I mean? But then when I'm not trying to say when a different type of America does it, it's like, it's huge. It's like, amazing to everyone. So, I get it. Everyone's trying to get a piece of the pie, and they take a little bit out of everything. Because I think Saturday Night Live, they're number one. But they do some ignorant stuff sometimes. But they do some really ignorant stuff. And I'm like, like Tyler Perry, and then you have
But I think what William is trying to say is if somebody, let's say guy A is painting a certain image of me. You know what I'm saying? I'm Puerto Rican, okay. So he's rice and beans and pork chops, and everything he eats is with beans, okay? That's fine for him to say. Now, if I go and I'm going to make a video and I'm going to put Puerto Ricans in it eating beans with everything, then I'm really supporting what he's saying. I'm not trying to change show a different image of what my culture is really like. Yeah, I'm playing along with it. So I'm not really trying to change the situation. I think that's what William was saying. Am I correct?
Yeah, it is. And then, as Alex said,
they still do it.
I know. They make money doing it. We can never, ever, ever complain about what people do for money. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and you know what? There are people out there selling addicts. There are people doing some really bad things that we would never do for money, and yet, again. You think about walking a mile in somebody else's shoes, but when you look at Tyler Perry, first of all, okay, a black man in a dress, all right, it's been done to death, but he still makes money. Every time he makes a movie, he makes money. So you can't criticize the fact that somebody is playing the game to win.
Absolutely not.
Now, I've never seen a Medea movie, so I don't know what they're like.
I haven't either. I've seen the covers.
But you know what? That's why I'm saying, like I said, even I know I get what we may stereotype our own selves and we do what gets paid, what makes money, what brings an audience. But we have white America, and I'm saying they are doing it on their own budget, and they're using us in their stuff. You know what I mean?
It's a modern day minstrel show.
And it may seem a little lighter because they might put others in it, but they're still doing the same thing. It's just that Tyler Perry, to me, he's just more focused on that one area, not the other area.
He has a character that people. There are a lot of people across America, black, white, what have you, who do love Medea. Okay, and I don't want to, and I really don't want to sound like I'm picking on him. I'm just saying that it's good that, look at what you have. You have strong women characters. Even your villainess, she's a strong woman, and these are not your average Hollywood memes. And look, people like them. That's the cool thing. There's a market for it. People are obviously thirsty for something other than the same old crap.
Exactly. I get it.
And you're able to deliver that, which is something that, obviously it's drawing notice. Okay, it's drawing notice, and I've had a couple people who are very, very into pushing forward the Afrofuturism movement, and one of the things that I truly believe is that 2014 we're going to see an explosion of attention paid to black science fiction into the Afrofuturism meme, and the fact that there are so many quality content creators out there, and so you look at you know, and I don't say this just out of hope. I see a momentum building up. So here you are at the perfect time and the perfect place, and you've been How long have you been doing this? When did the first one get posted up?
November 17th, 2012. So we've been doing it a year.
Yeah, you're a year old already, which means that, you know, you're damn mature in terms of time on track for people, and people are now starting to see it. So when you look at how Afrofuturism as a trend, of movement, of sociology is starting to pick up some notice, people are going to see more. And the thing is when you provide good, positive, strong role models for people who are not white, this is I think this is significant. And I think this is not something that you should minimize ever.
I'm so sorry. Sarah friend gotta go.
Okay.
Her break is over. All right. Well, look, I'm sorry we didn't get to talk to you too much, Gretchen, but we'll give everybody where they could see you, and you know, hopefully the next time we do this, because we will have all of you back. We'll have you on there. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I enjoyed the conversation. Yay! Hey, Marie, girl, I'm gonna beat your butt. Okay.
So anyway,
bye.
You look at what you guys are providing in terms of entertainment, and the fact that you like doing it also speaks to the fact that it's probably got some longevity. I mean, if you didn't like doing it, you know,
yeah, if it felt like work, I definitely don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, we have two shows actually. We have the regular Body Jumpers, and then we have Body Jumpers Origins, where the hero is still a teenager, and she's still learning how to become the hero that we know. And
this is kind of like a prequel?
Yeah, it's called Body Jumpers Origins, which that's what Sarah was talking about, because in the next episode we're going to show how her character was created and stuff like that. So.
And how soon before that hits?
That I'll be filming that in the next month. But, I mean, we already have the first episode up for Origins.
Oh, okay, good. Is it on the same channel?
No, it's on a different channel. It's on Body Jumpers Origins.
Okay, so everybody pay attention to that. We got the YouTube channel is The Body Jumpers, and then the other one is what? Body Jumpers
Origins.
Okay, great. All right, let's see. You know, when somebody just leaves the show like that, you know, I get so depressed, you know, because I think it's, you know, an indictment of me not being able to keep their attention.
No, not at all.
Anyway, so it sounds like, Alex, you got a great crew, and you guys sound like you hang together pretty well. Everybody get along? Do you ever have any problems on set with, you know, somebody grabbing the wrong makeup, hair dryer, anything like that? The reason why I ask is because, you know, Alex does all of the tech work, you know, and he's doing all of that, and it sounds very, very much like the rest of you are almost completely self-directed. You know, he'll give you some direction, and the rest of you already, I mean, you know what your characters are. You seem like you can get into them at will. And, you know, tell us a little bit about how a day's worth of production go. Oh, and first of all, do you do guerrilla filming, or do you actually pull permits and things like that?
All guerrilla.
All guerrilla?
All guerrilla, yeah.
Have you ever been busted?
Nope, never had any problems. I had cops roll right by me while I'm filming. Never had a problem.
Well, that's nice. I mean, you don't normally think about that.
Well, because I don't have a huge, you know, camera. I have a small handheld HD camera, and so you know, I never had a problem. Thank God. Before I used to have a huge camera, but I traded in for this one because it was smaller, and I figured I won't have too much problem. The big one, they will say, "Do you got a permit for that?"
And so, okay, so you've got a small handheld HD camera. What do you do for sound? Because, I mean, anybody who does video knows that. Okay. And so you've got, wait, you don't handle the camera and the boom mic together, do you?
Well, what I do is I put the boom mic, I attach it to my camera, and so, and then it picks up the sound just fine.
Oh, it's kind of like a shotgun mic.
Yeah, I have a shotgun mic, yeah.
Okay.
But I have the boomstick, but I don't use it because I'm filming that, that'd be kind of odd. But yeah, I do have a boomstick if I have somebody to hold it, yeah. But I don't, so I just attach it to my camera. And then usually what I do is after I film everybody, I record everybody's voice again, and then wherever it doesn't sound so good, I'll just redub their voice.
You really are a one-man production studio.
I told you, a one-man
crew,
man.
And tell everybody out there what kind of what software do you use for your production, because we do have a lot of creators.
Well, I use industry standard. I use Final Cut Pro for editing, and I use After Effects for the compositing and the visual effects for the show. Of course, with Photoshop also, because sometimes you need it.
Yeah. And you learned all of the special effects that you got in there all on your own?
Yes, I learned I learned the foundation of it, of how the program works in school, because they teach you how to use After Effects for text and to create credits, but they don't teach you any of the compositing side or the true essence of the software. I learned that myself, just doing tutorial after tutorial after tutorial. And then after years passed, I found myself knowing that, hey, I could do a couple of things that are pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I invite everybody to take a look at it. Again, they've got their YouTube channel at The Body Jumpers, all one word. That's their YouTube channel. And then Body Jumpers Origins, where you have one episode up already now?
Right, yeah, where the hero's, she's 15 years old, yeah.
Okay. And what do you do for actors and actresses? Do you hold auditions? Are they mostly friends? Are they referrals? What's that process for you?
I don't have any. Well, they're all my friends now. I love them all. But when I first started, I didn't know anybody. I have no friends on the show. That was one of the things that I was kind of adamant about. I have only one friend on the show, but I was very adamant about not having any friends or family members or stuff like that in it at first, because I just wanted to get it off the ground, but I wanted to be good, so I wanted to get actors. So I put out an ad, on Craigslist. I'm doing a web series, and, I spoke with different actresses until I chose the one I wanted to choose. And then from there, just, it kept building. Now I have no problem. Now I actually have people asking me, hey, can I be on your show? So it's a lot easier now, which is kind of funny.
People are throwing themselves at you.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, A-Marie?
I said people are throwing themselves at him now.
Well, no, you know what it is? It's because they see the show. I get a lot of African-American women actually contact me. I would love to be on your show because they see strong African-American women. I mean, it's not every day you turn on, YouTube and see an African-American woman flying through the sky.
Right.
That's rarely where you see that. I mean, even in a big-budget movie. So to see that, people be like, whoa, I want to be a part of this. It's something different. So, yeah.
It's inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you mentioned early in the interview that your actors do, they often have input into, the action or the dialogue or whatever. I mean, are you pretty forgiving of that? I mean, is that something that you enjoy getting that kind of feedback because you appreciate what they bring to the table? Or are they just a big pain in the ass and you have to, cater to them because they got big egos? And I mean, is it truly a collaborative process? Do all of you feel invested in the process? Harold, why don't you start? How do you, how is that for you?
There was an idea that I had that I'm not going to mention right now because we're still working on the plot in regards to my character. The idea that I gave to him, he processed it, and at first I was like, okay, he didn't dig it, but then after a while, when I started to actually write out a full synopsis about something around my character, he really liked it. And it's probably going to be worked into maybe the comic book, or if somewhere down the line that we have, some kind of, miracle financial blessing, maybe we might see it on film. But he's open to new ideas. And like I said, when he gave me my character, he didn't give me a description. He just told me to dress up sci-fi. And then when I saw myself in the picture, that's when the character came together. Like I said, I thought of him as a combination of Agent Smith from The Matrix and Riddick. So I meshed those two characters. I meshed those two characters together, and he liked it. I'm quite sure that if he didn't like it, he would have said something.
Oh, I
liked it. And I don't ask. I honestly don't ask to put anybody on the spot. But people who may be thinking about going into production and doing what you've done, I think it's instructive to talk about just how the process works, because obviously it works for you. Yours is great. I mean, you've got. I mean, obviously you've got the marketing down. You've got the publicity, and you're Well, how many? When a new episode goes up, like in the first month, about how many people view that episode? Do you have those metrics?
Well, on YouTube, because I don't know if YouTube counts when you watch it on web series channel and when you watch it on SCIFI channel, you know what I mean?
Okay.
On SciFinal.com. So, but usually we get, maybe like 300 views that first week. So we're not like putting it on and seeing 100,000 views yet. We're not like that.
Right.
But we'll get there.
We'll get there.
But you've got enough people who know about it. I mean,
we definitely do.
People know about the production.
Yeah. We do. And we have famous people. We've been blessed to have famous people on our show to play characters. Bowlegged Lou. So everybody knows him from Full Force and the House Party films. So all those people tune in. We're gonna have the singer Melissa Morgan. She's gonna be joining the show. So we've been blessed, with a lot of things that most web series are probably not blessed with. I mean, we don't have the budget and stuff, but we've been blessed in a lot of different other ways that if you utilize it the right way, I mean, I can't look a good horse in the mouth. I mean, I've just been blessed with cast and all the people that have come and shown their support. I mean, especially like Bowlegged Lou and like Melissa Morgan, who they still doing their tours and they're still going to take out their time to do my little show. So all that stuff, helps.
Yeah. Somebody wants to know, what model camera are you using? You said it's a small.
I'm using a Canon Vixia HV30.
Okay.
And you could change different. You could put different lenses on that camera, and you can even put a 35mm lens if you got the right adapter for it and stuff.
Yeah, I was looking at getting the new, what is it, the D5 Mark III.
Okay.
Is that a bad thing?
No, it's a great thing.
Oh, okay, because
that laugh was like.
Didn't it sound like it? He's like, man,
what's that?
This Japanese Negro doesn't know jack. I mean, that's what it sounded like to me. I went, that must not be a good camera then. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so, I mean, but, okay, now you do, obviously you're shooting everything in HD, and you're also post-producing everything, right?
Yeah.
Sound effects, everything. So do you think that maybe somewhere down the line, not too far in the future, you might be thinking about doing like a full feature?
Actually, Harold asked me that a few weeks ago, and I am. I'm interested if I had the right story, and I would definitely tackle it. I mean, because I know I can do it. If there's not a problem, it's just the story that you want to tell and how you want to tell it.
Right.
So I would definitely be into it. It's just right now I'm just enjoying the the internet little web series, because the internet in a way is also challenging because you only have a small window to get people's attention before they say, you know what, I'm changing this. But if you have bad sound and stuff like that, people are not going to give you no chance.
Yeah.
So I try to keep my stuff, good sound, good picture, the best that I can. Because people will sit, that's why people will sit through bootleg movies. You can have a bad picture, but if you have bad sound, nobody will sit through it.
Right.
Well, most new filmmakers don't know that sound is 75% of a movie. They have no idea. They think it's all visuals.
Right.
But it isn't. It's the sound is hugely important. And even if you're going to shoot, I mean, a moderate, a medium grade feature.
Yep.
Spend the $300 and get a digital board. They're not that expensive anymore. The microphones now cost more than the boards do.
Yep.
And so I would imagine you're growing your technical expertise and probably your gear as you go along. Would that be fair?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I try to stay up to date, with all the software I have because, everything changes every 6 months. So I always try to stay up to date with the latest version and, all those. Take the tutorials for the latest stuff, and that's because you'll fall behind so quickly.
Yeah.
People move to the next level, and you're still back there saying, "Huh? I didn't know you can even do that." So
I know, but I mean, that's the software publishers, maintaining their gravy train, because. There's a whole lot of things you could do with, like, let's say Adobe CS3 that you don't need to do, that you don't need CS5 for, and you can still turn out a beautiful movie.
Oh, definitely, I agree. I mean, the first 7 episodes or whatever, I did all those on CS3, CS4, but now I have CS6, and it's just all the tools that make your life easier as a visual artist. Whether it's to camera track a scene and, or stuff like that, or the rotor brush, which saves my time in rotoscoping, going frame by frame. So there's a lot of tools. Basically, that's really why you want to upgrade, just for the tools. Make your life a little easier, save a little bit more time, a little less rendering time, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the business of doing business. So you shoot your video. I'm just going to call it a video, and I don't mean that in any derisive way. But you shoot your video, you go ahead and you post-produce, and you get it up on the various channels that you have. Let's go back kind of closer to the beginning of what you did, and how did you get attention? How did you do your marketing? How did you get people to take a look at what you had produced?
Well, I'm my own PR machine. So what I do is I created the Facebook page, and then I created a Twitter page. A. Marie created an Instagram page for me. And so what I do is every day I put up photos. I create a photo every day. Sometimes I create multiple photos. There's a poster of an agent, a poster of a villain, a poster of a hero, and I keep posting it every day. And then, somebody hits like, and somebody shares it, and then their friend sees it, and they discover the show. And that's the way I've been able to do it, just constantly, because I figure you may not like this photo. Maybe you look at this photo and just pass by it, but tomorrow's photo you might look at it and say, oh, wow, hold on, this girl's pretty, or look at the visual in this shot, and then click on it. So that's the way I see it. Yeah.
I commend you for
that. Whenever I feel down, or I feel, like depressed, or I feel like things are slowing down as far as acting, and feels like, I'm having a bad day, Alex will just post something up, and every time when I see something from Body Jumpers, be it a photo, or maybe like an illustration from the comic book, or he always seems to post something or message me, and whenever I hear from him, or whenever I see something going up regarding the Body Jumpers, it eases my anxieties, per se. So he might be promoting, but to me he's basically patting me on the head saying, Harold, we're going to make it.
Well, and the fact is that, obviously you're fully vested in your own product, and the fact that you put in that much time and effort shows that this is not a flash in the pan. This is not something that you're just doing. This is serious business. This is not play.
Definitely. Yeah, it's not a fad. It's not. It's not an experiment or anything. You know, I really dedicate a lot of my time to it. Sometimes I sit at my computer from 8 in the morning, and sometimes it's 9 o'clock at night, and I'm still sitting at my computer, either doing a photo or editing or coming up or writing a story or something, because it's important to me. I mean, the show is an extension of me. It's an extension of all of us. So I want it to be good.
Yeah, and now somebody wants to know, you know, start to finish. Let's say you sit down starting, you know, the new year, start to finish. When you put together an episode, about how long does it take to write it, to shoot it, and then to post-produce it?
I would say I take about a day to write it, 2 days the most. We shoot it in 1 day. And I usually take about 2 hours to shoot it. And then I come home and I work at it with the effects about a week, maybe less, maybe 4 or 5 days. And then it's ready.
That's a pretty short turnaround time. And the episodes are an average of how long?
They're getting longer now. They're from like 8 to 10 minutes long. Yeah,
that's
5 to 10 minutes long.
I love that they're getting longer. It's like drawing your audience.
Yeah,
in.
The next one's going to be like 15 minutes long.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, see, you excited your own people.
Yeah, that's good. Well, usually when I go on set, I've already seen the episode in my head a million times, so I usually know exactly what I want. You know, the angles that I need, the shots that I want. I don't write down a shot list, or I don't have any storyboards. I just see it in my head. I've already seen it, so I just go there and I do it.
Yeah, but being the you're the videographer and the director, you know that there's very little translating you have to talk to yourself about.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like you don't have to tell yourself I really didn't want to get that fat lady in the shot. And I asked you about that, you know. So, I mean, that level of control is also a luxury too.
Yeah, it is. Because I've worked with other filmmakers that they show up on set, but they don't know exactly what they want or how they're going to do it or certain things. So they usually rely a lot on storyboards. They want everything storyboards before they go out and shoot everything, you know, and stuff like that. I just write it and say, okay, let's go shoot it.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, the whole process, you're looking at less than 2 weeks, essentially, to get everything done.
Yeah. The longest thing that takes the longest is people's schedules, of course, because everybody has a different schedule. So you just got to wait till everybody at the right time. But from the time that we shoot, the episode comes out 4 or 5 days after that. Because I just work at it 12 hours a day every day until it comes out. Yeah. My wife has to pull me away from the computer because I'll sit there and continue doing effects and doing all that stuff and sound and fixing this and
time really doesn't exist when you're involved in the creative process. You're enjoying what you're doing. It's like, oh, by the way, you need to eat or shower or something.
Yeah.
Or shower. Dude, when was the last time you changed those socks? Yeah. Well, I mean, but a lot of creators are like that, though. I mean, you know, if I were to be honest with somebody, which I really hate, I would have to tell people that there are times when, you know, I will have, you know, I'll be in these sweatpants all day and not leave the house, you know, and not feel bad about it because I'm in the process of doing something. And once I'm assuming, because it's not that different for any creators, but I would assume that once you're into it and you're on a roll, it is tough to pull away.
Yes, it is. It is.
Very hard.
Yeah. Okay, so, hang on. You're listening to the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, a service of the Black Science Fiction Society website, .com website. And this is the final edition for December of 2013, actually for the whole year. I don't know about anybody else. I don't know if that 13 messed things up, but I am definitely looking forward to next year. For all of you guys, what what's kind of the excitement that's driving you into the next year? How do you think next year is going to be for you guys? Why don't tell you what, A. Marie, why don't you start out?
Well, positive thinking leads to a positive outcome, and I'm claiming every day thus forward mine, regardless of what year it is. I'm putting my all into everything that I do, my business, my art business, and I know it's going to be good. I know God's going to take care of me, so no worries.
Oh, while we're at it, tell us a little bit about your art business, because you met Alex as a photographer, right?
No, as a visual artist.
A visual artist? Okay, cool. And then and how did all that? How is your art business now? What kind of art do you do? What mediums do you work in?
I do. Yeah. Well, the name of my company is Estetica Exposure Art by AMW. Estetica is an Indonesian name for aesthetic, exposing you to beautiful art one canvas at a time. And the canvas ranges from, actual canvases to digital art, book covers, CD designs, flyer designs, book trailers, book covers. I don't know if I already said that. It's a variety of things. I've been doing it for 2 years now by myself. But like I said earlier, we linked up through my cousin on their radio show, and Alex asked me to put together a poster for body jumpers. And I actually had the opportunity, thank you, Alex, for drawing some sketches for the Body Jumpers Origins show. So they are in the very first episode of that.
Yeah, they're in episode 1. She did some great illustrations for the first episode.
And that was actually my first time doing illustrations, so it actually broke a barrier for me to move on to doing a personal project that I like to put out, which is a children's activity coloring book, which will be coming out next month.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Very nice. And what about you, Harold? Do you have other irons in the fire as well?
I absolutely do. I made some long-term goals and some short-term goals, and so far they've all been coming together. One of my short-term goals right now is just really just now to just get myself in shape by spring, because I want to really insert myself in castings and put myself out there as an actor, improve myself as an actor, take some extra classes. Later on next year, probably during the fall, we have to be careful when we say if things don't happen, but you gotta kind of sow your seeds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to insert myself in a class where I can learn theater education, so that no matter what happens, if the road of becoming a professional actor doesn't go in that direction, I love theater. I love acting, film, and stage. I can at least be a drama teacher. That would be something that would be a good, satisfactory alternative, if the acting thing does not work. But I'm going to believe that it will. I'm going to believe that it will. I'm going to keep on trying, okay?
Well, you've got a good start.
Yeah, I have an awesome start, man.
Hey,
look
your
at
name
that.
is Harold, not Howard. You didn't talk about that.
Oh yeah,
I try not to talk too much about when we're talking about body jumpers. I want to talk about body jumpers.
Okay.
But I do have a comedy web series that I put together because I was so angry and frustrated about going over to New York and auditioning that I swear to you, I was sitting in my room and it got quiet and I heard a voice say, "Do your own web series, man." And then all I did was just take the webcam and my computer, and I wrote a couple of stories, and I did a comedy web series called My Name is Harold, Not Howard. And I played all the characters up until the second season, which you can see it on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, Harold B. Gibson, on YouTube, and there's 2 playlists. One is My Name is Harold, Not Howard, and the other one is My Name is Harold, Not Howard, the second season. And in the second season, I used other actors. But that web series came from just being frustrated about sitting around not doing anything, and I wasn't working. I'm also involved in another web series called Traffico. Traffico is a comedy, not a comedy, a drama. It's definitely not a comedy. It's a crime drama. Traffico is a crime drama centered around 5 different characters, and it's involving human trafficking. And I'm playing federal agent. Now check out the name, Federal Agent Damian Howard. It's directed by a friend of mine named Joseph Iulo, and he was such a fan of my show that he named the character after my web series title, called it Damian.
Awesome.
And I was like, and let's go even deeper. The woman that's playing my partner, all right, Arnett. She suggested that we come up with nicknames, and her character's name is Isabella Marcello. She wants me to call her Izzy, and I was like, okay, well, what do you want to call me, Dame? You want to call me Howie? And she's like, I like Howie. I hated being called Howie when I was in high school, but you know what? It's amazing how things turn around. Because I swear this woman is so beautiful and her voice is so sweet. When she said the name Howie, I liked it.
But we're going to tell everybody that you did it for the art. Okay, that's
okay, that sounds good.
You did. I didn't do it because she was so fine and she said my name's so nice. I was doing it for the art. For the purity of the art. Okay, all right. So and the other thing is stick with your lie. Don't let anybody talk you out of your lie.
There you go.
Once you start one, you got to keep going with it.
Exactly. All right. So you got a new episode that's coming out pretty soon. The DVD, I'm so sorry, I forgot. You said the DVD is a little bit down the road, though, right, Alex?
Right, yeah. About another 3 months, so maybe 2 months.
Another 3 months. Well, that's not bad. It'll be time for spring, and people will have paid off some of their Christmas debt, by then. So that seems to, and people, when it's nice out, they think, well, I could afford to pay for a DVD here.
Right.
For you guys, I mean, we have a lot of people in the New York, New Jersey area, and for whenever you have an appearance, when you're going to have a showing, anything that you're going to have, it would be really nice if you would post up that appearance or that information on the BlackScienceFictionSociety.com events calendar, because when people go, when, like, let's say somebody has a weekend free and they go, I wonder who's doing what around town that I could go and check out. Then they can, go and see, oh, well, look, Alex is having a showing of such and such, or A. Marie is having a book signing, or, so if you think about it, please think about keeping, the website, the membership here up to date with what your appearances are, and then that way we can always cross-promote and support our own people.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Right. Great.
That'd be great. I guess, well, we got about 20 minutes to go out, and no, we got about 25 minutes to go, so that's plenty of time. One of the things that I'd like to know is when you guys are out there in crappy-ass weather, and Alec is fumbling around with the camera because he got some water on the lens, and maybe he forgot to plug in the microphone, things like that. I mean, do you guys weather the process well? I mean, do you consider yourselves veterans and you can handle all that stuff well, or is it still, there's still, you're talking about a year, there's still some newness to the whole process? I mean, what's it like for you guys when you're out on location? Doing your guerrilla filming, by the way.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
I look forward to it. I think the last episode that we did, the battle between Darius and Furia, I was amped, man. And Alex will tell you, I will run and fall and fall and fight and run as long as it looks good, because you never know. I mean, I do it as if I may never get a chance to do this again.
Yeah.
So I run, and here it is. We're in like, I mean, how cold was it that day? It was kind of like, what, like in the 40s, 50s?
Yeah, it was pretty cold.
It was pretty
50s
cold.
is warm.
And I'm
no, it was cold that day when we filmed that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agent Darius had all that leather on.
Yeah, it was freezing, and I was sweating. I mean, you remember when we were done with that scene and we were climbing up that hill, and I got on top of that bridge, and you guys looked at me and everything. I was like, I was sweating, and I wasn't done yet because I had to, the scene where Furia punches Darius like across a field, and he lands on the field. I still had to fall down and do that. So,
wow, gotta work out.
But I love it. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm just mad because I injured my freaking back in the gym, and I'm just praying to God that it'll heal up by the time it's time to film the next scene, because I got some work to do. I heard.
Uh-oh. Well, Alex keeps me in the house, at headquarters, so weather is not an issue for me. And the back of my dress is out, so I'll probably catch pneumonia or something.
Yeah, Avery's been lucky. All her scenes have been in front of the green screen in my living room, so she haven't to been stand outside in the weather or anything like that. So
I do want to come out and play, though, because Seraphim keeps, harassing me, and me and my girl Shia'ra, so I'm going to have to, put her in her place real quick. Just real quick. Give me 5 minutes.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that fight. I'm waiting for it.
It does sound like all of you do enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And Alex, is it any trouble at all getting them motivated to do what they have to do?
Not at all.
It doesn't
Everybody
sound like
shows up pretty much energetic and very charged.
Ready to go.
Everybody's always shows up ready to go. That's one thing I can't complain about. Everybody's pretty much on point. They show up and they're ready to go.
Man, I slammed down 2 energy drinks and I'm ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the days, when I was a disc jockey. I wasn't like into drugs. I just liked the way some of them smelled. Yeah, I know those 2 energy drinks. Okay, so you've got this series, you've got Body Jumpers, and you've got the retro series, Body Jumper Origins. Are you going to kind of stay in this universe for a while yet, or do you have anything else that you're going to be popping out?
Yeah, well, I have a crime drama, a police drama. It's called Crossing the Line.
Mm-hmm.
It was written by one of the actresses of the show. Her name is Linda. She plays Cora, and she wrote this great script about it's basically a police drama and stuff. So I'm going to tackle that down the road for her. She's going to write like all the episodes and stuff. So I can just focus on directing it and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's a different medium. It's totally different. It's not going to be no powers or anything like that. It's just about a police officer and a reporter.
Mm-hmm.
And so to flex my muscles in a different area and stuff. And I've been thinking about maybe doing a vampire story. So let's see, because I do like horror. I think the horror that they have now is pretty horrible.
Yeah.
It's not really horror; it's more comedy with blood.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a time when movies were actually scary. Carrie, The Exorcist. You would sit there and be petrified. Now you sit there and you laugh. So I would like to dip my feet in that maybe.
Yeah. And way back when, what drew you to science fiction? You mentioned that you got into it early. Was it the comics? Was it books? Novels? What drove that?
Well, my parents started taking me to the movies when I was 4 years old, and they would take me to the movies every weekend. That was like my parents' thing. So it was me and all my brothers and sisters to the movies every weekend. So I got to see, and they didn't restrict me. They didn't censor me. They didn't say, Okay, you can't see Carrie or you can't see The Godfather. I saw them all. Wow. So I was just like, wow, what's this? You know, so I saw all types of movies. I saw those. I saw silent movies from the 1920s because my father was born in 1914, very long time ago. So he introduced me to a lot of silent films and all that other stuff. So my favorite director is Hitchcock. So I watched a lot of movies from the 30s and 40s and 50s where, you know, they got long takes. Now everything is cut every 15 seconds. You can't. Yeah. You don't get a chance to look in the background before they cut the scene, you know, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. So what were some of the, you know, the movies when you were younger that kind of stood out for you?
Star Wars was actually the first one that I can remember. The first movie that I actually saw that was science fiction that was just like, whoa. At the time, there wasn't much science fiction. It was only Planet of the Apes and 2001 at that time when Star Wars came out, and Star Trek, of course. And I hated Star Trek as a kid because Star Trek was intellectual, so I didn't understand it. Right. Now, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. But at the time, it was Star Wars. And then when I got older, then I discovered 2001, A Space Odyssey, which is a movie that I still watch today and still discover new things. So it's, you know, those kind of films.
Yeah.
Really
the classics,
that was just like,
basically
wow,
the classics.
The classics, the classics, Planet of the Apes was my favorite. I mean, and that was a mirror of society, obviously, with all the civil rights and all that other stuff. So, yeah, all that stuff really influenced me. I just really loved it.
And did all of you grow up in the New Jersey area?
No.
New Jersey. I grew up in New York. I grew up in Brooklyn. I was born in Puerto Rico, but I grew up in Brooklyn. We came to New York when I was 2 years old. So I basically grew up here.
Yeah, what about you, Harold?
Newark, New Jersey, born and bred, still here.
And A-Marie, what about you?
I was born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts, and I now live in upstate New York on top of a mountain.
What are you, Zeus? On top of a mountain.
You guys are so bad.
Yogi the Bear and Bambi.
Do you prefer, like, kind of a more rural living than being in the big city? Is that why you're out there?
I've never lived in a big city. Even my hometown wasn't nothing like New York City. But I do appreciate the rural area now that I'm older. It's calmer. Me.
No. I didn't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I went from Chicago, and I went to Green Bay, Wisconsin to hide from the draft. You know, and I was still a Bears fan, so I caught a lot of crap for that.
Oh.
But I mean,
ouch.
Well, I mean,
No
these are people who are mad at Indians because they get to fish all year round.
Right.
But and so you come on down, you hit the location, you you do your thing, and then you just head back up to where the deer and the antelope play, correct?
Basically, I mean, I might hang out for a night or so in Brooklyn because
and I don't mean that in a bad way. Yeah, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's nice that you have. I mean, look at you. You the three of you are so different, you know. And no, and yet you came together. Right. You came together, and you're doing this really cool thing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times when you get people with an affinity or people who live together, or grew up in the same neighborhood, and they decide to get together and do something. And you've got a stage actor, you've got a graphic artist, you've got
Gretchen is a train master.
A what?
A train master. She runs all the past trains. She's like have you ever seen the movie what's that movie with Denzel Washington where the train is running away?
The train.
Unstoppable. Yeah, she's like Rosario Dawson, like that. That's her job.
Man. So I mean that's pretty cool that all these people have come together to do something. And the other cool part about it is all of them bring something different to the table, which I think contributes to keeping everything fresh and not falling into a sameness that would be boring, you know?
Right. Well, yeah, it all goes back to collaboration. I mean, it's very important to me as a director. It's very important for me not to be like, okay, I need you to just come in and I need you to stand on that spot. I need you to stand there and say these words, because I'm shutting down the actor's creativity for minds.
Right.
And it should be both our creativity. You know, we're both making it. We're all doing it together, so we should all have an input. Now, I will listen to everybody's ideas. Some are good, I will go with it. If it's not, we won't go with it, but I will always listen to everybody's ideas.
Yeah, I try not to throw too many ideas at you. I don't like rejection, and, you know, it's hard for me.
Window crash.
Yeah, I can just hear everybody really crying for you. And you know, it sounds like a great production. Like I said, I watched a couple episodes this afternoon, and I'm hoping that you keep doing what you're doing, because it's good for two reasons. First of all, it's good to show people that you can make your own science fiction. You can make your own movies, and it, you know, you being a one-man shop, you know, the director, the director of photography, the editor, the everything. You know, the cool thing is technology has gotten to the point where it enables you to do all of that relatively easily. I mean, not that you don't have skills. I mean, it still takes skill.
Yeah, you still gotta know what you're doing. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And as for you know, your skills building, you mentioned that you were in school a little while to learn some of the software.
I was in film school for 2 years, so I graduated and stuff. But with the school that I went to, they didn't teach you, like, it wasn't, okay, we're going to teach you filmmaking, that's it. They basically taught you a little of everything. They taught you how to direct, how to be the cameraman, how to be the sound man, how to be the editor. And so you basically jack of all trades, master of none. And then you decide what course you want to pursue. In my case, I want to pursue all of them. I said I want to be all of them. I enjoy all of them. And so in that way, I was, you know, it's helping, because other web series I've seen that are sci-fi, you don't get a lot of effects. You definitely don't get people flying and stuff like that. Mainly because the person who's making it doesn't know how to do that. He only knows how to direct. And he needs to find somebody to edit it. He needs find somebody to light it, somebody to shoot it, somebody to write it. And so, and you know, in that way, he's hindered. And I'm not, because I'm able to be like, okay, well, my character's going to fly. She's going to land here, break the floor. This guy's going to shoot electricity. And I'm able to go and do that. I don't have to sit back and wait or find somebody to do that for me.
Right.
So we get a certain kind of freedom from that.
And it also helps you keep your costs low, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Which makes the whole well, I mean, which makes the whole thing even more accessible in terms of producing your art. Now, you know, being that you're picking up your popularity, you're dead on in doing all of your social networking and things like that. Have you been attending any of these Comic-Cons or anything like that yet?
We plan to do that next year. We plan to start doing conventions, get our own little booth, and have our posters, T-shirts, DVDs, the comic book, have our actors in costume there and stuff like that. So that's something that we're definitely planning on doing on 2014, to get our feet into that convention circuit and just continue doing them and get networking and meeting more people and doing more conventions, and that way you'll keep growing.
Yeah, somebody asked, would you be coming to the Chicago C2E2, which is, I guess, in April. I don't know if that's too early for you to think about doing, but it is a popular one. Plus, you know, I'll probably be able to put some butter on my ankle, get the bracelet off, and come visit you guys.
Oh, that'd be great. You know, I actually love Chicago. I've been to Chicago. I love Chicago.
Yeah. I guess we've got about 10 minutes to go. Where do you see your whole production apparatus, your production company? Where do you see you guys maybe 5 years from now?
Oh, wow. 5 years? I don't know. I hope to be on top somewhere.
Well,
in 5 years, in 5 years, I hope that we're all still working together, whether it be on Body Jumpers or a whole nother project, because most filmmakers, as you know, tend to work with the same people over and over because you develop a shorthand and it's just easier. You know, I would work with Harold before I work with a stranger. I mean, you understand? So even if I moved on to another project, I would bring my people along with me. So I imagine I will still 5 years from now, whether it be body jumpers or not, I will still be working surrounded by the same people.
Yeah, and when you think about it, you know, like you've only been doing this for a year, and you know what you're trying to do now is accumulate a certain amount of prestige and success, and maybe it's just too early to think about what you're going to be doing 5 years from now. I mean, you seem very well tracked to try to do whatever it takes to be successful at what you're doing now, and maybe that. Well, not maybe, but that can be more than enough. Have you been approached at all for any kind of collaborative work? Other people who want to work with you? You did mention, you're one extra who wants to do the police drama. But
right.
Have there been other people who have come to you and said, I like this whole sci-fi thing. Maybe we could do work together. Would you consider some collaborative work where someone else does some of the writing?
Right. Yeah, I have, and I definitely had people ask me those type of questions. Maybe they have a show that they're interested in, or maybe they would like to come on board and write. I had people ask, would you have a problem if somebody came on board and directed an episode? And I'm open to all those avenues. I'm not close-minded. I'm very open to different things and trying new stuff. And it wouldn't bother me if somebody came along with fresh ideas and had a great story they wanted to tell. Then sure, I will collaborate with them and tell that story.
That's good to have because it allows advancement.
I'm sorry?
I said it's good to keep an open mind because you're allowing advancement for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the other part that I want to ask you is, obviously your show is very kid friendly. There's nothing in it that a parent should normally object to. Plus it provides very, very good it provides very good, characters who are not white. Have you thought about, or do you engage in much community outreach to younger kids at this point?
Well, not really. I mean, I'm a scout leader, and my son is a Boy Scout and stuff like that. So in that sense, yeah. But I had this idea in the back of my head, and I believe A. Marie knows this, about what I want to do for kids is create a film camp, basically for young urban kids. They can come and they can learn film, learn how to operate a camera, learn how to edit, and they're able to shoot their own little films, 2-3 minute films, and then we can put a film festival for children, and then we choose, a winner, first, second, third place, and stuff like that, and just get them educated about film. Because when I was a child, I love film. I tell my wife all the time, I need film like you need water. I need film. I have to watch a movie every day, and sometimes 2 movies a day, and that's the way I've been since I was 4 years old. And so, as a child growing up, it's something that I love, but I never thought that I could do myself. I thought it was for people like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. I just didn't think I didn't see any Puerto Rican filmmakers out there. You know what I'm saying? So when I grew up and I went to film school, I was already 30 years old. So I started late. I wish I would have started at 20 or at 15. So I want to give the urban kids that opportunity. When you're 8 or 9, look, you can pick up a camera, you can tell your story. If you feel depressed, if you have anger, whatever, it can help you. Tell your story by editing or making something, whatever. So that's what I really want to do. Eventually, at some point, is just create a film camp for kids and let them express themselves. And we sit back and watch their stuff.
No, that'd be great. Let me give you a quick idea that you might want to consider when you do this. When you have the film school and you have the kids do their films and you have them at the end of the session. One of the things that you might want to do is make a coffee table picture book with the DVD in the back. And one of the reasons why you do that is you're able to provide the parents and others with examples of what your kids have done, and it's a great funding venture as well. because
right.
Obviously you could sell that. You wouldn't want to get so much money from the parents. But an idea like that is something that people often overlook. They think about, well, I want to do this. I want to do this great thing. They do it, and then they forget about the metrics. They forget about maybe finding people who could help them fund something like that.
Right.
And having that resource, being able to say, well, here's last year's class books, and then they could look through. They could see the pictures of the kids doing that, and then there's the DVD stuck to the back cover. And they can actually see the results of their labor. So, I mean, it's something we do here for some of the stuff. So we're down to about 4 minutes to go. And is there anything that we didn't talk about that any of you would like to mention, either what you're doing or where you see the show going or anything that I may have overlooked?
Did we talk about the graphic novel?
Yeah, we did. We talked about the comic book. The comic book is will be out, I guess, in March. It should be out February, March.
And that's for the Body Jumper series, right?
Right. The artist is Terrence Baker.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be drawing it, and I'll be writing the stories.
And now, these are completely different storylines than what you've had in the shows, correct?
Right. It's just the characters from the show, but completely new stories. I might reference things that have happened in the episodes, so people can go back and watch the show. But yeah, it'll be completely all new stories.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be maybe our first one. I think it's going to be around 10 issues or so.
Okay. And somebody wants to know, when you started out, what were the biggest hurdles that you had to get over?
Myself.
Really?
Usually the biggest hurdles is usually your own mind, your own self-doubt.
Man.
And so, because in this, in whether if you say, it's strange. If you say I'm going to be a singer, people say, yeah, whatever. I'm going to be a filmmaker, yeah, whatever. If you say I'm going to be a carpenter, okay, great, you can do that.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of weird. So I would say to people that want to be filmmakers, actors, artists, whatever you want to be, you can be that. Just don't listen to the negative comments that people tell you, oh, no, you can't make it, or you can't do it, or it's too hard. Mm-hmm. You can do it. If you believe in yourself enough, you can do it. And you see that once you start doing it, you start believing in yourself more. And you start looking at it, and you say, oh, wow, I can really do this. And then you gain your self-confidence by creating your own work. Because then you see yourself, wait, I jumped that hurdle. Now what's next? And you start building challenges for yourself. Okay, the next episode I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but that's what I want to see. And so in that way, you keep growing.
Well, I mean,
and you stay away from negative people. Period.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you provide such a great example of that. I mean, anybody who looks at what you guys have achieved in just one short year, that's a great example. There's nothing better. And then when you tell somebody, I hold the camera and I do the sound and I got the computer at home and I do all of this, a kid's going to look at that and go, well, I can do that.
Right.
That's right.
They may lack the computer or something like that, but the barrier to participation is not nearly as high as it was before. And I think that's something that some schools kind of miss out on in teaching kids, because, I mean, let's face it, the teachers are older and their attitudes were formed, back when a kid couldn't just grab even a Cool Pix camera and make their own movie,
Yeah, definitely. 20th century teacher with 21st century students.
Yeah,
they still try to make it sound like it's out of touch, like it's out of their reach or something like that, when it's very, very much in their reach.
Right.
Well, I keep thinking of there's that line in what was that movie? The Truman Show, where Truman says, "I want to be an explorer," and the woman pulls down the map and says, "Oh, Truman, every place has been explored. There's no place new." The cool thing about creative art is the fact that there is so much landscape out there. There's so much creativity, and people have so many different stories in their heads that there really is no limit to a child's imagination.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they want to do something, they can now do it.
Yes.
I want to thank the three of you for being here. We're coming up on time to end the show. And for those listening, we've been talking to Alexander Fernandez, Harold, not Harry, right?
And not Howard.
Harold, not Howard. That's right. That was his theory. Harold Gibson. A. Marie Walters, and earlier we had Gretchin Noel, and she had to go because she got off break. Right. And what I'd like to do is thank you for and we earlier we had Gretchin Noel.
You got a little playback there.
Yeah, there's some feedback there.
And you know who that is? That's Jarvis. That's
Jarvis.
Jarvis. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Jarvis. He gives our farewell evening closer. And then if you guys will hang on just a couple minutes after the show is over, we'll have a quick chat if that's okay.
Sure.
So take it away, Jarvis.
Hey, thanks for coming on the show, everyone. It's greatly appreciated. I want to thank everyone for participating as far as like sending likes out and sharing with others what we're doing here. And I want to give just mega kudos to everyone involved in Body Jumpers. I've been watching it since like the first few episodes, and just every time I'm just waiting for the next episode to come out. Ever since that, and I posted it earlier, and ever since that girl touched that guy head and blew him up, I was like, I'm hooked. I can't wait to see the next episode. So keep doing what you guys are doing, and you don't know who you're inspiring by doing what you're doing. Because it was said in here that you don't see a lot of black sci-fi, and then you don't see a lot of black women in powerful roles, and you guys are filling that void. So just keep doing what you're doing, and I want to thank everyone for participating. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having me.
And everybody listening, this show is on every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Please tell your friends. Please tell your family. Please tune in live. And for those who check it out as a podcast, all of the shows now it's been over a year, right, Jarvis?
Yes, we're, I think, about 55 shows now.
That's not bad. So thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for listening and participating, and we will see you in 2014.
Okay, you have a good
all right, take
and
care, everybody.
Thing.
Oh, yeah.
One last thing. Please, when you get an opportunity, come on the site and join and meet the other people on the site. And Alex has been doing great as far as like posting videos, posting graphics. But we really want to see your other guys on there too, because there are other people you can network with and see what they're doing as well.
It's a great site. Yeah.
All right. And with that, we're gonna close it on out.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Everybody, take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
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 Thanks. Good night.